My name is Ken Feingold, and I've been making artworks that speak for about 20 years now. The first one that was in the form of a very realistic human head was this one called Head, and I made it in 1999. And I had been before that making things with puppet heads and other kinds of realistic figures, but this was the first one which really has the ability to engage in a conversation. The others talked and had their own sort of dialogues or monologues that they undertook. But this one is capable of having some kind of a conversation. But I wasn't interested in making something that was really an open-ended, easy conversation. I wanted to point out the kind of peculiarities of human conversation when hearing isn't quite good and thinking is a little bit surprising. And it relies very heavily on feelings of having some sort of psychic process of its own. You have a sense that it has some kind of interior life, some kind of unconscious. He seems to be thinking in between responses. And he can actually understand English, but not very well. It's a very primitive kind of system. It runs on a very old computer, very slow, and he takes his time speaking. But he does listen. And I wrote some software that allows him to interpret what he thinks he hears and formulate a kind of response to it and come up with answers or responses or questions. And I was very interested in...
Where the man placed her till 3 a.m.
It's very funny that he interrupts, but it's okay.
And confesses he also has been paralyzed on the floor for 2.5 hours at a time. He explains how her 3-year-old also wanted
he has these kind of things that he starts talking about at times that seem to have absolutely nothing to do with anything that he hears. He has a kind of crazy mind. He likes to speak about things that are very surprising, and he makes rhymes, and he does a kind of surrealist poetry that comes from the misunderstanding that he has.
Intoxicated by it, kinky with it, inexperienced about it, impartial towards it, receptive towards it, resistant to it, but who cares, really?
But that was a response to something that he made out of something that he heard from what I said. What it was exactly, I'm not so sure. Because it's not scripted, it's not written where these things are pre-recorded. He's actually creating his responses in the software as he hears things.
What's happening?
Well, what's happening is that we're talking and you're listening.